I think I always made the comment that once a miller, always a miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again. Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us tonight. We are back later than anticipated. In the usual spot. The imminent club statement didn't happen, which is what it is. We are here. We'll talk about the lack of movement at Rotherham United. This is a fan show, so if you do want to join in, I am going to post the link in the comments of YouTube, because that's where it goes. So if you want to join, we've got already got a couple of people lined up tonight. We have around 5:30. We're going to have Simon on to talk to us about the women's team, which we've should have done for about 3 years now, to be honest with you. But we are going to do that as well to kind of mix things up as well. But even if nobody comes on, I think we've got enough to talk about tonight. Probably.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're fine.
We haven't played.
Mick, how are we?
Yeah, all right, mate. All good. All good, thank you. You?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Good.
Tom's with us. How's Tom?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. How's everyone else?
Very good, I think. And Danny's back. How's Danny?
I'm not too bad, lads. Shame about the club statement, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll dig into this probably. So we have everybody with us. Steve, I'll be honest, there's a theme to all these comments. Steve goes, everybody, why is the big man still here? YouTuber just goes evening one and all, but Richard says evening all. Good Evans is still here. Darren's with us, as is Jamie. Paul Rhodes, hey up. He's still chuffing here. Oh, that's Steve Evans or Mick. That she's referring to. What are you going to do?
Thanks.
And John Morell in the comments. John Morell messaged me and Mick earlier asking if Mick worked for a certain company because he saw a guy in a van that looked exactly like Mick.
My heart
got a
goes
doppelganger
out
out
there.
there.
Could be more than one.
Yeah. Where do we stand and where are the feelings at the moment, Mick? The rumour was there was going to be comments early on in the week. The advertiser have confirmed there's been 2 meetings between Steve Evans, one virtually and one in person. The answer is he is staying. He is still here. Steve Evans says he's got the full backing, essentially, got the full backing of Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart wants it to work. What are your feelings towards it, I suppose?
I'm pretty ambivalent, to be honest. I didn't expect anything less. I was surprised when we saw the rumours of some sort of announcement going to be made. And I think that's clearly what they were, just simply rumours. Whether that's been sort of a planned meeting between the chairman and the manager has been sort of embellished a little bit into something that it wasn't. I'm not surprised. I'm neither disappointed. I'm not or happy about it. It's not going to change. I don't think. I genuinely don't see how it's going to change. So I think we just need to suck it up. Really, is my view. I'm neither happy or sad about it.
You're not happy or sad?
No, not really. Not really. Because the bottom line with it is, okay, if you're happy about it, that means he's gone. And he's gone. That's it. That's the only thing you can be happy about. Because from that point onwards, what's going to happen? We're going to end up spiraling back down to the same situation that we did last year, with 3-4 weeks without managerless, and then giving it to the only person that applies for it because nobody else wants it. So it's like it's a double-edged sword getting rid of him. And I wonder whether that is something that's in the mind of Tony Stewart or the board or both. I don't know. I know that's a very negative way of looking at it, but that's basically how I see it at the moment, which is not great, I think.
No. Shellstone says, I'm with Cheryl, not in the mood to suck up even more crap, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah, we've been told to trust the process. No, he didn't say trust the process, did he? What did Steve Evans say? It was almost say trust the. I'll have to go and find it. Danny, have you got what the comment was? It wasn't trust the process. What was it?
Good question.
It was something eerily similar, though, weren't it?
Yeah, it. I don't think it was trust the process. I think it was like give me time or something along those lines.
Similar idea though.
It was
Yeah.
trust the process without. It's from a Paul Davis article, but I can't find it now. But yeah, I'll find it and then we'll come laugh at it in a minute. But Tom, yourself, are you same as me, kind of ambivalent? Are you happy that nothing's happened? Where are you?
Well, if anyone reads a certain Football League World, they would have seen that I said that I was reluctantly happy that Evans. I reluctantly wanted Evans to stay, and I think I think as anyone is, it's a reluctant is the key word, because look, I mean, any other manager in any other job is at grave peril, based on not just results, but performances especially are just dreadful. You can sometimes excuse results if performances match. Well, match expectations, I should say. This is just not. This is obviously expectations were incredibly high coming into the season, but with the squad that we have and the performances that we show, you can only have one eye on the manager. And I think in any other position, he is extremely pressured. And I sort of agree with what people are saying in the comments and in yourselves, Matt and Mick. But I mean, how can we possibly tempt a manager to come into this of any sort of, standing behind, any sort of, unless you go for a manager who is a youthful, energetic, doesn't wants the opportunity, like nobody else is going to take it, right? So I think we're stuck with him, and I think a little bit of optimism has to come from that, because if you're stuck with a manager, the only thing that you can do is get behind them, right? And I think that's that's one of the main things. We've got to just hope that it turns around. If it does, it does, and I won't say I'd eat my words, because currently as it stands, I don't think Evans is worthy of the job. But if he does turn it around, I will give him the compliments and plaudits that he deserves, because if he can turn it around, I think it would be an excellent job, because how it currently is with the toxicity of the whole club's environment, how we stand with money issues, facility issues, performances. If anyone can turn it around, they deserve a lot of plaudits. So he's not going, so I'm going to give him a chance to actually deserve those plaudits and change something.
Yeah. The quote is, as Mick put on Scott Kent, believe in the process, which I'm sick in my mouth a little bit, to be honest with you. I hate phrases like that.
The thing that sticks out to me from that quote is, I'm not going to hide behind the bushes.
Well, I tried to hide about his coach on Friday night, mate. Anyway, we'll come back to this. Right, fans show. So we've got a fan with us. Steve Exley's with us. How are you doing, Steve?
Evening all decent. Never leave an old man with technology that he doesn't practice with before. Anyway, I've had to change my Apple ID password, all that kind of garbage. So anyway, I'm here.
Thank you for coming on. We're talking about our kind of thoughts and feelings of the kind of non-news this week, the news that Steve Evans is here for now. Where are you sitting on that? What are your thoughts and feelings on that?
To be quite honest, I didn't expect him to be sacked. I think it's been said a lot that he's his best mate, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's not going to get sacked at the moment. I just listened to what Tom was saying, and I agree with him. We're stuck with him, I think, and it is down to the man that, I mean, I'm with Mick again on this one. I never really wanted him there 10 years ago, but, you get on with it. and I wasn't terribly happy when he came back. But I keep getting told by my lad, who's 26, that he's our saviour. But even he's decided that he needs to go now. But I think we're stuck with him unless it gets really bad. Because I mean, I've been doing this 50 odd years, 56 years now, so I'm older than me, and twice as old as both of you two put together. And I can't be arsed anymore. I can't be bothered. I go to the home matches now. I used to go to most of the away matches with my lad. And I really can't face going distances to be bored stiff. I've been bored stiff for 2 years. I don't know about anybody else. But I remember us beating Blackpool 3-0 under Warney, one of his last games. And Georgie Kelly scored a lovely goal at the end of it, and we're all happy. And I thought, crikey, we're looking at a team that might be developing into a championship team. A few weeks later, Warney leaves, and ever since then, we've hardly won a game. And it's pulling it out of me. I feel like I did in the last season at Don Valley, frankly. So we're stuck with Steve. Now it's up to Big Steve, or the Fat Controller, as I like to call him, to I do apologise, to actually excite me, because I take some exciting at my age. Well, Mick probably doesn't realise yet, but give it another 10 years, mate, and you will.
No, I realise.
Just bloody excite me, make me get off my seat, for crying out loud. I mean, the Stevenage game, I sat with my dad, who's 88, who struggles to get up the steps now. And he said to me, my knees hurt and my back hurts every time I come and see Rotherham. And I'm not putting up with this because it's rubbish. And when Hugo managed to fluke that one, I just looked at my dad. I didn't even stand up. I looked at my dad and I laughed. And then 2 minutes later, I didn't even realise we'd scored. And it just passed me by. And then I went home. But it was better to win than not. But I was still totally bored and really depressed at the state of the football that our team's playing. Because they aren't playing football. They're a football team that can't play football. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some kind of, I don't know, revitalisation, and that they do learn. They need to start running forward. They need to start breaking lines. They need to go down the outside. They need to play the ball in to Nombe, who's facing the goal. Do you remember when we had Lee Glover? I don't know. Tom's not old enough for you. And he was not good the first season, was he? If you remember. And Ronnie came in, and I remember, and he started scoring goals. And I remember a reporter asking him what he'd done to Lee Glover, and he said, "Well, I've turned him round to face the goal." And that's quite literally what we need to do, because all our players up front play with their backs to the goal. Because that's all they get. That's all the old service they get. So yeah, we're stuck with Evans, but he's going to have to change something really quickly. Otherwise, he's going to lose the crowd, and then Tony will probably end up flicking him.
I think you're right, and I think the fact that the whole tactic seems to be just to hoof it as far as you can upfield. The forward players have got to be facing away from goal. Otherwise, they're never gonna get the ball. It's tactically, it's just really, really poor. And I'm the same as you, Steve. There's been a couple of times this season where we scored and I ain't even stood up. It's just not. It's just not even at home. Yeah, it's not even excited me enough to actually stand up and celebrate. You just have a little wry smile to yourself and think, yeah, great.
We scored, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's different though.
Yeah. No, I was going to. It's something that really interests me is that, I'm in the same boat. I'd love to get excited over something or other, but I think we've got the players to do it, and it amazes me that they're not. There's no sort of flair. There's no sort of ability to actually, have fun with it. I mean, Wilkes has been arguably our best player this season, and there's been half his games he's gone missing in. So if he was actually allowed to do what he wanted the whole game, every game, would we be a completely exciting team? I mean, you look at Hungbo, Asong, Holmes. Those are the sort of players that get you out of your seat, but even they feel limited in what they do. And is that tactics, confidence, or like, I don't know.
I think the only player I've seen or noticed do a forward run in the last few weeks is Jules. I seem to remember he took it upon himself to drag the ball into their half against Stevenage, I think. And that's it. You know, we're used to people like Barlasser, Wiles, Ogbeni running at people, you know, going past people. We don't see that anymore.
No,
and it's pretty sad and very dull.
Isn't it? If we go back to the Stevens first time around, and that's, I think we should all be comparing to last time. Last time Steve Evans were here, we had Michael O'Connor. If you want to ignore Frecklington, there's still 4 or 5 other players that were exciting, and there seems to be a lack of freedom in the front area at the minute. Let's not talk about how defensively poor we are, because we're not going to that. But one of the issues for me, Steve, is that it was exciting. It was always exciting last time under Steve Evans. There was always something happening. It was fun. It was stressful, and sometimes it was frustrating. There was always something happening to get it interested in, and it couldn't be more. These 15 games could not be more different to that first time around yet.
I don't disagree with you at all. When he came back, my lad said to me, he said, "Listen to his interviews. It enthuses you, doesn't it?" Yeah, he's a brilliant speaker. Don't take it away from him, but the difference between what he talks about and what he actually produces this time around is huge. And I did actually think, so not any of the signings for me were bad signings. They all made sense. We're probably light of a proper striker up front. I mean, for another Mark Robbins, let's put it that way. But he'd never get a chance anyway, would he? Because they don't play down the side. But I don't see it. I just wish somebody had picked the ball up and run at them. Run at the opposition, for God's sake. Just, who's going to do it? There's only one person with pace, and that's Wilts. And that means him playing probably a little deep, but I don't know what anybody else thinks.
When we do, we have done that a few times during the course of the season for the odd 2 or 3 minutes, and when we cause problems virtually every time. And it doesn't come as any surprise, but there's a comment, I think it's from Phil there, saying when was the last time we played from back to front? Even under Paul Warren, we played hoofball, launching up to Smudge. Well, we did, but not every single ball. You know, it was there. It was part of the armoury, but it wasn't there. It wasn't exclusively just kick it as hard as you can, which is essentially what this season has been, save for the odd 10 minutes here and there throughout the 15 games. And it's not every game. You know, they just appears every now and again. We do it, and we put the ball on the deck, we play it through the thirds, and we look dangerous. But then we just go back to kicking it as hard as you can again. It's almost exclusively like that.
And Nombe can't hold the ball up. I mean, I have a bit of difficulty with Nombe, liking him, but I like his effort. I think he has trouble trapping a bag of cement sometimes. Maybe a little harsh, but he never gets the chances because he's always playing with his back to the... I mean, he's playing one up front at the minute. He's the central man, but they're hoofing a bloody ball up, and there's a 12-foot defender behind him. He doesn't stand a chance, of poor lad.
No.
Just talking about Paul Horn, just as an aside, as you know, I live in Derby, and I've had a couple of chats with Derby fans. They just don't like his style of football. But look where they were 2 years ago. You know, just again, be careful what you wish for. Do you want to win some games, or do you want to be pretty and lose some games? It's a fine balancing act, and we've not managed it at all.
No,
we haven't managed either. We've won a few games. Is it 4 games we've won?
4 in the league,
15 games in League One.
Yeah.
You know,
well, 2 of them had men sent off, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. 2 of them were against 10 men.
And one were off Nombe's arse.
And one off Nombe's backside. So, you know, it's about mixing it up. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we don't that the long ball doesn't work, but exclusively the way that we're playing it, with a lack of width that we're playing it, it's so clear to everybody and anybody, even surely the most ardent fans of Steve Evans can see that the performances on the pitch are not acceptable. And then it's just a question of who we're going to blame. Are we going to blame the manager or are we going to blame the players? A combination of the two or what? And it's clearly a combination of the two in my view. But tactically, the players have got it's quite clear from the way that Steve Evans speaks, the players have to work within what him and Rayner are telling them to do, which is not working.
Yeah, he said that in that interview on Friday night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Where he accused two of them of making it up as they went along after not following the plan.
Yeah.
And you know that is a couple of midfielders who try and take an extra touch. And
Can I chuck in a question that Radio Chef asked me on Wednesday?
Yes.
Because they asked me on to review our start to the season, and they described it as sticky, which fair enough. But they said if it's not the players underperforming, where does the blame lie? Is it one aspect or is it multiple ones working together? And they highlighted the tactics used by Evans and Rayner, not just on the pitch, but also on the training ground to get players motivated. And I'm just wondering what everyone's opinion is on that. Do you think it's on the pitch tactics or do you think it's motivational tactics that are letting the players down?
Well, that's the question. Maybe what are the tactics on the pitch? Can anybody tell me what the tactics are on the pitch other than kicking it along? I don't. The question. So that's a significant part of the problem. Is I don't know what our tactics are for me. So if I don't know, something's going wrong there. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Players know, do they? They've got no clue.
I know what it is. I can't believe you can't see it. It's just kick it as hard as you can, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the players have lost confidence. There's no doubt about that. Then having him and Rayner bawling at them all the time. I mean, they are a pair of bullies, aren't they? They were last time. And all you got to do is listen to some of the interviews with players previously. I mean, Warney held it together allegedly behind the scenes during that period to a certain extent. But I don't know. I don't know that football is now different to football as 10 years ago in mentality. So whether the tactics off the field don't work as well as the tactics on the field, that's up for debate. I mean, they didn't have a day off, did they? They were brought in. So I wonder how much that delighted them. But that's tough. That is. But as long as they were constructive with it, then why not?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree. Some of the best sporting minds that they listen to say when things are going tough, it's good just to give people time away, go away, stop seeing each other's faces for a bit, and then you can get a bit of a reset. I'm not sure forcing people into spending time with each other when after the Friday they've just had was the best idea. But hopefully, I'm wrong.
Quite possibly not. But we don't know, do we?
No.
It does strike me that Evans and Rayner's tactic of bringing the players in when they were meant to be having time off wasn't a case of right, let's sit down and work out where we are going wrong. It was a case of they're all sat on small chairs and they're having a go at them.
Yes, possibly.
I mean, with the great Danny's got a valid point there. Whether that's true, that's clearly not true. But the way that our management team, our coaching staff present themselves, that's the image that it kind of portrays. The language that is used by both Evans and Rayner publicly, it fosters that image. It makes you feel that that's what's happening behind the scenes, and then bringing them in, as you said there, Matt. Give them a break, get away from this toxic atmosphere, because it clearly is a toxic atmosphere inside the squad and inside the ground. Get them away, get them out, come back with a fresh mind. But it feels like, and I'm not saying it's true, but it feels like what's actually happened is, they've got a detention almost. Sat on notice step for 2 weeks when they should be on holiday. I don't know. It just feels wrong. It feels wrong, but we're speculating, aren't we? We don't know. They might have all had a cuddle. Possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Funny joke. Steve dropped his phone.
Yeah, don't make me laugh.
Before we let you go, Steve, because we've got Simon coming in a second, just give us kind of your prediction for the next month or two between now and January. What do you think? How do you see things going for us, Steve Evans, and the future?
I think the Crawley game and whatever the game is after that, and I've actually promised to go to Blackpool on the 9th of December. I think I've got to drive apparently, so that my lad can drink. Unless the football improves, because the football, I think you said it, Matt. If you do mind losing, but if you lose and you played well, like the Wrexham game, I wasn't overly disappointed because we played some decent stuff. If I'm seeing a team that actually has a bit of dynamism about it, a bit of energy, a bit of intent, then I'm sort of halfway there. If it doesn't, if it carries on with the awful performances, like at Barnsley, the Stevenage one, and you get to sort of middle of December and then people stop going, they'd rather go Christmas shopping, then Tony has a big decision to make. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else is spending the January money unless things turn.
Yeah. I would be surprised. The next 2 or 3 games. I think we've got Crawley away, and then we've got Lincoln on Tuesday night, and then Blackpool, and then it's decision time, really. I think probably. But thank you very much, Steve. I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much. We'll go on again in future.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Steve.
Anytime, mate. Anytime, Steve.
All right, fellas. Cheers all.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Steve, for doing that. I love this show. I love this fan show when we get people on. Anyway.
It's nice knowing that it's not just us 4 idiots with an opinion. That's really nice.
Why?
Speak for yourself, Benny.
We have Simon waiting in the wings. We're going to bring Simon in just a second. I'm going through some comments because we've got loads of people with us as well. John Morrell says, probably squad is built around Evans' style. Any replacement would most likely play in a similar way, not going to change.
No, I don't believe that.
I don't like that.
I don't either. I would listen to the Not Top 20 podcast, and they kind of said the same thing. But these players are really good players. Some of them are really good players. I think a different manager could improve them.
Yeah. I disagree with that.
Exactly that, and I think that's why we're playing the way that we're playing, because they're not built around Evans' style, and that's the issue. If they were, then the tactics may be slightly more effective. Probably not, but they may be. But don't know.
Yeah. Rob A says the biggest issue is we were too deep. There's a huge gap between his defensive midfield, and compared to Evans' first time round, his team were very good off the ball, played a high line network. Yeah, this is miles away from even the start of Steve Evans' era. This is miles away, and that's where the frustration comes in, because we're nowhere near where we should be. I don't think it's too much to expect 20 games in that we should be better further forward than this. Even if we're not winning games, you should be further forward in terms of style, setup, play, everything else. But anyway. Right. Time to bring Simon in. Simon Thorne, how are we doing, Simon? Anyway. Right. Time to bring Simon in. Simon Thorne, how are we doing, Simon?
Hi, I'm all right. Danny, room for one more idiot on there. Can I jump in and be a 5th idiot?
You can indeed join the club.
Danny, room for one more idiot on there. Can I jump in and be a 5th idiot?
You can indeed join the club.
All right. Now, I did warn everyone that I'm not technical. So I did warn everyone that I'm not technical.
Close it down on the side.
How's that? Can you all hear me?
Oh, God. That was
Even more
amazing.
reason to love this fan show.
How's that? Can you all hear me? Right. That means I have to mute, doesn't it? Hold on.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
I'll take you out for a second.
How's that? Can you all hear me? I can't hear you at all, by the way.
Oh. We can hear you.
Not even a bit. No, you can't hear you, Matt.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is incredible.
Love this show.
No, you Matt.
Try. I'll take him out for a second. Right, I'll take him out. I'm going to message Simon to come out and come back in.
Oh, that was incredible. To be honest, that was. The gap was a solid 10 seconds. It's nice to know that we're not quite as live as we think we are as well.
Yeah. So I think we've got it. Should we try it now?
Yeah, cracked it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect.
All right. So there's probably a delay, but it won't be 10 seconds. So you can all relax on that one, Tom. Thankfully, I was right though, wasn't I? I mean, what I literally started with room for one more idiot.
And the answer is yes.
Let me start by saying thank you. Nice to see you all and chat with you all as always. Mick, I'm gonna upset you now because Steve has just spent a lot of time making you feel better by you not being the oldest one tonight. But I'm a year younger, so you're back to being the oldest one.
I'm back in my place, back in my rightful position.
let me, if I may, though, let me just apologise to Mick because I do owe him an apology, as I think a lot of us fans, Millers fans, may do. Pre-season, Danny very kindly came and did a video with me where we were just talking about what we wanted from this season, and Danny, wise lad that he is, was a bit guarded about Steve Evans. Not me. I was fully on board. Toot the Steve Evans crazy train, let me tell you. And when you were giving us all that little warning, Mick, at the start of the season, I'm there going, come on, Mick, lighten up. What's up with you? Stop it. Come on, be excited. And quarter of the season in, I'm completely on your side of the tracks now. That's it. I've boarded that train and I have boarded the Mick train now. So, I do owe you that apology, and I think it's only right that I make it publicly in front of all these people.
Welcome aboard, mate.
There's room for everybody.
It is nice as well because the last time. Sorry if there's people waiting. I'm Dobby, so I do apologise.
Right.
Last time I saw you Matt and Ben, it was straight after the disaster of the Cheltenham match, and please just let me say to everybody watching now. If anybody hasn't watched the pod's instant reaction following that game, when this show is over, please go and watch it. Just go and watch it because Ben is an absolute diamond in that show. It's the funniest thing you'll ever see. It's also heartbreaking. It's 50-50. It's heartbreaking and funny in equal measures because you're seeing a young fan utterly crushed by an abject performance of a club that he loves. And every single one of us here has felt what he felt in that video. And to see him go through it, it's lovely and it's heartwarming and it's hilarious and it's really sad. It's basically being a Rotherham United fan, isn't it? So if you haven't seen that video, I cannot recommend it enough. It's very, very funny. Go and watch it.
You could say Simon highly recommends it.
It is a great video.
Thank you, Simon. I appreciate you filming that.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have had it. So appreciate that. So we're going to come back to the men's team in a minute, Simon. But you've come on to tell us how things are going for the women's team because I understand you've had a pretty hectic season so far.
Yeah, we need something that's Rotherham United related, that's not depressing and miserable, don't we? So I go to watch the Rotherham United women's team, as well as being a season ticket holder, obviously, at New York Stadium. And listen, the women's team have their ups and downs, but there are certain things that are. It's easier for me if I just kind of put them side by side, and it's not a like for like comparison, but there are certain things you can talk about that you can compare right now. And I think that's fair. But a bit of background for those that don't know much about Rotherham United women's team. They play in the fifth tier, the fifth level of women's non-league football. So it's the non-payment league. League 4, if they go up a bit, one more tier, and then they can get sort of some payment and be like Parkgate FC and other non-league teams. But right now they're playing for the love of the game. That's really important because they're not. I was going to name a Rotherham United player there, and I won't do that because I'll get in trouble. But they're playing for the love of the game. They're not journeymen who are just like cashing in, their paycheck, right? So
I wonder what he's referring to.
I don't know, and I'm not going to say. But there's obviously straight away you can see a difference that these players want to be on that pitch. They want to play for that badge. They're proud of that badge, and they play according to that. It's not. Listen, non-league, none of it's playing for money, but you know what I mean. It's definitely not for the money. They're in the East Midlands Regional League Premier Division. So get your head around that. I've not ever been able to understand how non-league football works, because once you get down beyond, say, in the men's game, the Vanarama National, then it's like triangles within triangles, and they're all across there, and they're up, and it's crazy to try and understand. Best thing is not to. So they're doing okay this season, despite, and I love this, despite being on their third manager now in 4 months. So remember, Millers fans, when we're talking about Paul Warne to Matt Taylor to Liam Richardson to Steve Evans, 4 managers, we're talking 2 years in that. Yeah. For the girls, we're talking 4 months. And 3 of those 4 months were between seasons. So, do you know what I mean? It's some might think that that's a bit of a disadvantage, and that might disturb a team. Not these girls. These women go out there and they just keep playing and they just keep doing the job. So you've got to love and respect them for that, because, well, again, I don't want to compare them against the blokes and say something that I'll regret, but. We're 7 games in to an 18-game season, so we're about halfway through now. Let's have a look, not including the cups. We've lost the first 2 games, drew the next 2 games. Then we've had 2 cup games, won the first one, the League Cup, and then we went out, sadly, of the FA Cup in that first round on penalties, sadly. It was 1-1 at full time. There's a whole story in and of itself about the FA Cup tie, which, again, that's for a different show. Not going to go into that now, because I really will get into trouble. And it's really important that I say, by the way, I'm just a fan at these games. I just stand on the touchline watching the games. I am not in any sense sort of, joined to the club in any way. So anything stupid that I say, which I invariably will, that's on me, right? So it's not on the club. Please don't blame anyone else for me being an idiot. So we had the 2 cup games, and then it's all sort of turned around a little bit since then, and we've had 2 very good wins, followed by a very close defeat in the last game to an excellent Stanford team. So it started slow this season, but it's picked up, and now the women are coming back into it as we reach the midway point. Now there are certain things to say about that, in that we had all the good teams. Well, that's going to sound awful, isn't it? But we had the better teams, right, sort of, heavy front loaded in the start of the season. So to come out of the first 4 games with 2 points on paper looks bad, but in reality, not, okay, still 2 points from these 4 very, very good teams. So, given that, points wise, we're better off now than we were at the same stage last season. So the women have done very well in that respect. And given that we've parted with a manager who was the new manager at the start of the season, just over, sort of 5 or 6 weeks ago, and given that we've had, lots of changes, so that we've had to bring in some younger, youthful players from the under-21 squad, who've all been brilliant, by the way. Steve Evans, take note how to integrate younger players into your team. I'm just saying. Honestly, so far, this Millers team is, you go on a Sunday and you stand there at Roundwood, and quite frankly, they come off the pitch at the end, and I'm proud of them. I'm thinking, man, win, lose or draw, I think they've done excellent tonight. And that, sadly, is something that I have not had an opportunity to say very often at New York Stadium this season. I can do a comparison, but anyone got a question, I'm happy to sort of answer if I can. I'm rabbiting away there as usual. Jump in.
That was good. What do you think is the main thing then? I mean, hypothetically, Evans was to go to a women's game. What's maybe one of the things you think he would take away compared to one of the things he should take away? Because I think it's interesting that you say that they play for the badge and stuff, and I think that's something that he's like, yeah, no, we already do that. My team already does that, and whatnot. But if you try and compare the men and women's team, what is it that the women's team is doing better, more efficiently than the men's team? Because there's clearly something, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. And let me answer that from a fan's perspective, sat on the side, because I can't speak for the players. I don't know, but let me tell you what I think it is. It's player attitude. It's as simple as that. It's player attitude. I've seen it at New York Stadium in seasons previous. I have, absolutely. I've seen that under Matt Taylor. When it's been going wrong, I've still seen players doing it. It's player attitude. Win, lose, or draw, for me as a fan, isn't the issue. It's how you win, lose, and draw. And I want to go home from a game feeling, for anyone's game, not just the women's team here, but from New York Stadium as well. I want to go home feeling that the players have given everything. They've fought for everything. They've left. I know it's cliche central here, but they've left everything on the pitch, and there's no one hiding. They've all stepped up for it, no matter whether they're losing, whether they're drawing, whatever it may be. They've all gone out there and they fought to the final whistle. I get that every time at Roundwood when I'm watching the women's team. And remember, these kids are just playing. They're just playing for the love of it. They're playing because they're Rotherham fans. They're playing because they're Parkgate kids that want to play with the local team, and they're playing because they just love playing football. Whatever the score in the game that you're watching, those women don't stop playing. If they're in front, they keep playing to consolidate that win. If they're drawing, they keep playing to try and snatch the win. If they're losing, they're trying to get a draw, or they're at least trying to get a goal to make the goal difference a bit more presentable at the end of the season, because that matters. There's always a reason to keep fighting to the very end of that game. And I'll be honest, and people in the comments might not agree with me on this, but there are times when I've left New York Stadium this season and I have not thought that was the case. I've thought, there's one or two out there that have not done that. Now, I understand the argument, because I've made it myself in the past, where you say, no, these are professional athletes and players don't think like that. I mostly agree with that now. But now I think there are some players, particularly those who are getting towards the end of the career, who might not think like that as much as I want them to think like that. But that never comes into it when I'm watching Rotherham United women's team. It just doesn't. And they're not bad. Danny can help me out here, because Danny's seen the women's team play. I know he has, because I've seen him at some of the games, and he's been there. He knows, he knows how the girls just keep going and keep going. There's other things as well that I can just very briefly touch on, but in terms of what Tom asked, what is that big difference? It's that attitude. Now, it's the players. And I was very clear on that. It's the players' attitude, because, like I say, we're on manager number 3 in 4 months. So it has to be something beyond that. There is a group mentality in those players that they take out onto the pitch, no matter what's happening in the dugout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly Pumpton, I don't know if you'll know this, Sam. Are they self-funded? I assume the club supports them one way or another. Do you know? Just to answer Kelly's question.
Well, I'll say this one thing, and it's a bit of a plug, this, so forgive me for doing this. And again, the club hasn't asked me to do this. This is just me. But these players have to find their own sponsorships. And I don't know how much, it's something like 50 quid or whatever, and there's still players that aren't sponsored. So if anyone's out there watching this that's, I don't know, you're a gas fitter and you've got a company, or you're a mechanic or a painter and decorator, and you've got a few quid to spare, get in touch with the club and sponsor a player. There's no money at this level. That's the bottom line. On the men's side in non-league, Parkgate FC, who I also do videos on, Parkgate FC are having exactly the same thing. I never ever blame a player at this level if they go somewhere else for a few extra quid, if they can get it, because why wouldn't you? It's such tiny amounts. You never criticise a player for leaving for a few more quid in that short span of playing time that a player has at that level. With these girls, no, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about the game coming up on Sunday, if I may, at the end. But before you get me off, but on Sunday we're going to be playing friendly against Halifax. Now Halifax are tier 4, level 4. So at that level, players can start being contracted, financially to receive a few quid, and it is only a few quid, but not at this level. No, there's no sadly there's no money for them, and even the money they take off me in the fixed raffle tickets that I never win, that's not enough. Even that's not enough. So I don't know.
Yeah, we sponsored the goalkeeper last season. We sponsored the Georgina Ward last season or season before. I can't remember which year it was now.
Well, we don't. I don't talk about Georgina Ward anymore. She upset me greatly because what a fantastic goalkeeper Georgia Ward was. She's sorry. What a fantastic keeper, and she had the absolute temerity and lack of respect for the fans to go off and have a baby. Shocking stuff. Shocking stuff. How could you possibly do that? At least Victor had the common decency to get someone else to have his baby for him. Shocking. I mean, seriously, joking aside, before I get in trouble and get all you lot in trouble, Georgia Ward is just one of the best keepers you will ever see in non-league football. And hopefully, when baby's ready to be carted off to grandma or whatever, then Georgia will be back doing a Paula Radcliffe, faster and stronger and better with hands than ever. She's got practice now trying to catch the baby when she goes out, so she's going to be. Excellent. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with Georgia was the cornerstone of the because what two things that are important in a team. So to carry on from what Tom was saying there, two things are important. One, the spine of your team. You've got to have a spine. You've got to have a decent keeper, a couple of strong defenders, and we've got that, dependable, reliable defenders in someone like Dinah Soraya or Lorianne Tart, the captain. You need people you can rely on at the back with a keeper behind them, and then in the middle, that you want that midfield general. I'm saying this in comparison to the men, by the way, because I don't think we've got that at the moment. Where does that count in our defence right now? Two dependable, reliable defenders and a decent keeper. Because we've got two new keepers that kind of swap and change it. Actually, we've got a new one called Ashley, who's showing herself to be a very good keeper, but it's still very early in her career with Rotherham Women. So you need that midfield general as well. So we've got Lauren Winter, who's just sat there in the middle. Really tough, as in, good tackle, just strong, but also got a football brain. So she knows when to hold on to the ball. She can spot where it needs to go, and then she'll pass it out wide, or she'll get it forward, and a movement will start. And then, of course, you need strikers that can score. How about that, Rotherham United fans? Strikers that can score. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Well, you've got them if you go and watch the women play, because I mean we've got in abundance Delia Hurdis, Millie Colford. I mean, just it's on and on and on. There are players there that can do that, and I'm gonna make you all smile now by saying the one thing that is the big difference that the women's team has got, that the men's team has made us all complain about all season, me included. They've got width. The women's team have wide players. Not only have they got them, they play them out wide. Whoa. Not only do they play them out wide, but they get the ball to them. And not only do they get the ball to them, but they're all good enough to get the service into the middle. Great balls over into the box, and when it goes into the box, guess what's there? The strikers and support. I know, right? It's almost like rocket science. It's crazy stuff.
You've lost me there, Simon. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I know, right? It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's that badge. It's that badge, and yet it can be done. And it's at Roundwood, so it's not like Steve can't just pop his head over the fence and go, "Hey, do you know, hey, Paul, that's not bad, that is it? Hey, shall we do that?" It's seriously not rocket science. I don't know. Listen, I can't put ideas into the gaffer's head. But when you've got players like Alessia Gale and you've got Jess Jones and that just zooming down the wings and getting great balls across, and players in the middle just looking to smash it home. Again, I say it's not rocket science. I genuinely do not understand how we haven't been doing this. Because we've got we all say it. We've all got the players to survive in League One and thrive in League One, and yet. But there's a lot to be happy about at the minute with these women. It's a Miller's team that's doing really well. And honestly, there's also the potential there to be doing a lot better because we've got some fantastic. That's just the established players. We've got some fantastic young players that are just being integrated as well. So hopefully, I haven't dropped myself in it too much by saying anything about management changes because I don't know. So I don't know what's gone on there. And that's. Have I been particularly misogynistic or bigoted there? I don't think.
No,
so.
I think we're all right.
I'm all right on that score.
Yeah.
We should be okay there. I mean, if anything, listen, I'm banging on. I'm not going into the reason why I started watching Rotherham United women because that's a whole show in and of itself. But I was very, very glad that I took the chance on going along and watching a couple of games. And I can't recommend enough for anyone to go along. And if I can just give that shout out for this Sunday. It's at Roundwood. We all know Roundwood. It's 2:00 kickoff. It's £3 for adults. It's free in for the kids, and it's against Halifax Town women's team, and they're where we aspire to be. So it'll be a good opportunity to see where we are in comparison with where we want to be. So anyone there, come along. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you don't know anyone. You know me, so you can come along and say hello to me. And I'll say hello back. So,
but you've convinced Phil. Phil's in the comments says he's going to go buy a ticket.
Yeah, you should. We don't have to buy. Just turn up, Phil. It's all right. But watch out for them. Watch out for Val selling them raffle tickets. Honestly, they'll take the pound, but they'll take your pound. They're quick to take the pound, but not quick to give you the box of biscuits that that's there.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Just before you go, Simon, just tell them about your vlogs you're doing, where they can find your your videos that you do, where if they want to see them, because I watched a few of them and they're very, very good.
Yeah, I'm. You can find me Simon Thorne 66 on Twitter and that, or YouTube. But it's back in the New York groove. If you just sort of type back in the New York groove, you'll probably find me somewhere. And I covered sort of Parkgate home games as well. So bit of non-league men, bit of non-league women, Miller's women, and obviously that bunch of losers over New York. I've been trying to give my season ticket away, by the way, and no one will take it. I keep saying, "Do you want a free ticket for half a season?" And I go, "No, get away from me, you weirdo." So I'm still stuck with that, but I'm still going to be there. And so there you go.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Simon. We'll do this again in a few months' time or something. We'll catch up with this again because I thought this was good.
I'll see you soon, lads. Thank you. See you, Tom. See you, Danny. Bye, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you, Simon.
I think Simon's exposed an elaborate coup there, where the women are playing with width and the men aren't. It's all a coup to go and watch the women's team and buy tickets and get them funding to get up the division. Telling you.
Yes, I like your style. I feel bad having to talk about men's team after that. To be honest with you, because we're just not being negative again, aren't we?
It was very positive.
Yeah, no, that was really good because I don't think we've spoken about anything positive for a while. So it's good to have something affiliated with the club.
That's good.
And we don't talk about it enough. So yeah, no, it was really good.
I think the bit that doesn't sit well, gripe is the wrong word, but the thing that doesn't sit right with me is that the women's team is linked through the sports trust and not the club proper. So it's like an offshoot of Rotherham United and not under the proper umbrella, which is a bit of a shame for me because if it was all under one umbrella, yes, they'd have to split it up funding wise a bit more, but it'd just be better to have it as Rotherham United as an entity rather than having the men's team and the youth team and then having an offshoot in the Community Sports Trust, and that's where the women's team is. But we can live in hope that that'll happen at some point in the future.
We can live in hope of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Before we go into anything else, just want to let everyone know Sunday evening is the mailbagger show. We've already got through a few questions in to go through, but if you have any questions that you want us to go through on Sunday, serious, stupid, fun, daft, serious.
I wonder what the main topic of discussion might be.
Yeah. Also,
I reckon it'll be what we have on toast in the morning. That'll be main topic.
You have stuff. Oh, you mean like marmalade or jam?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I thought you were. Anyway, let's move on. We'll cover that Sunday if anybody wants to answer. I suppose I don't expect them to. But Mick mentioned about send us any questions you would like to send to Steve Evans. If you have a question, we can't ask Steve Evans that question because we're not journalists and we don't have access to Steve Evans, which is probably a good idea. But we would like to know the question that you would like to ask. Right. Do you want? I know this is we know this prior to a game. But would you like a prediction league update, Tom?
Oh Lord!
Oh my God! Am I making movements?
Tom is making ground.
Yes!
Tom's got 2-0 prediction on Friday night. Absolutely correct. So now that within 2 points of Mick at the top of the league.
Oh, see every
Ben also picked up a point because he went 3-0, so he's now gone above Kev at the bottom of the table. Danny's languishing in the middle. Mick, feeling any pressure?
I predicted Barnsley to win.
Danny must have picked up a point as well then.
Can I just
did you? Yes, you did. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Tom picked up full points. Ben and Danny picked up a point each.
I think so somebody grabbed Danny by the testicles there, didn't they?
I will not stand for this disrespect.
Matt, where are you on there?
I don't do it because I won so badly last year.
Oh, God.
I think I just took charge of it this year instead.
No, because you give a prediction every week.
No, I don't.
I could have sworn that you did.
No, I don't. No.
You just were at the bottom. That's what it was.
So yes, Tom is closing in. Also, parish notice or whatever. We aren't here next Thursday because we're at the Football Content Awards. So the preview of the Crawley game will be Friday night. So don't know if you are Thursday. No.
Yeah.
So if you are a Thursday night watcher, we'll be on Friday next week. Sunday is normal. Everything else is normal. Just no Thursday episode. We'll be back Friday.
With a trophy in the background as well.
Hopefully, we'll have a guest, a shiny guest. Right, Nick Cameron.
Unusual event that though, won't it? The unusual event, given it's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it'll be the only time there's been any trophies in that building.
That is so going to be a joke used. So going to be a joke used a lot.
So there, we'll keep updated on that one. Right, comments. We've got probably 10 more minutes left, so something like that. Nick Cammett says, whilst Evans has been criticised, is it possible there's something to admire with his willingness to stay put and work hard? He says the Miller's qualities we're asking for players or blind faith. Anybody? Would you like to give anything on that?
It's very easy to be cynical, isn't it? It's very easy to be cynical and say that he's here for himself and to progress himself. And I blind faith, I think probably. I'm not convinced on his willingness to work hard because for me to work hard, you have to learn from the mistakes that you make. You have to hold your hands up to say I've made a mistake and learn from them. And I don't think we're doing that. I don't think as a team, as a squad, as a club, albeit that's not down to Evans and Rayner necessarily, but from the footballing point of view, we're not learning from anything. We're just doing the same thing week after week after week and hoping it's going to change. We talked earlier on in the season about the XG and the RUFC talked about it. It's going to regress to the mean. It's going to regress to the average eventually. Well, what's happened is the XG's just gone down.
Yeah.
The goals have stayed the same, but the XG's gone down now. So the thing that's regressed to the mean is the actual expected goals, not the actual goals. So, and we're still doing the same thing. So for me, if he's passionate and he wants to progress and he wants to work hard, you need to learn from your mistakes. You can't just keep doing the same things because that's not working hard, is it? That's just being stupid. It's just banging your head against a brick wall kind of situation. So it feels more like, to me, blind faith rather than anything else. That's my view, and I am as we've probably established, quite down and negative on this management team, but that's how it looks to me anyway.
I do think Evans has got the cushion that the chairman is his mate, because I think if they weren't pals, he would have been on the curb a long time ago, probably before the Barnsley game. So for me, anyway, you can talk about wanting to work hard and get the team where it needs to be. He's just got the added benefit that the chairman will probably back him until his position becomes completely untenable.
Yeah, I think about this earlier. I wonder, his motivation is obviously different to when he came first time around. Because when he came first time around, it was here to progress his career as a football manager. It wasn't here just to do well for Rotherham United. That was part of his job, to do well for Rotherham United. But his motivation wasn't, I love Rotherham United, so I'm going to do well for Rotherham United. The motivation was different. So right now, he says his motivation is just, I love Rotherham United, so I'm going to do my best. When your motivation is different, the way you do your job is going to be different. So is that possibly why things are different this time around? Because the reasons he's doing are slightly different. Or am I just
certainly added more pressure to his back, that's for sure.
It's just different, isn't it? Those two things are approached in different ways. If I managed a football club right now, I'd be trying my best, and my heart would be in it. But I don't mean I'd be doing a good job about it. And that's kind of where Steve Evans is at the minute. He clearly, I'm not doubting he loves the club. There's no question about it. He clearly he loves the club, but is that enough?
He's had some success at the club.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference. The passion and heart are the bare minimum that I want from a manager. They're an absolute bare minimum. They're a prerequisite for getting that job, for having that job. And if you haven't got that, then you shouldn't be in the job. You should never have been employed in the first place. So I'm not going to. Well, I don't think any of us as supporters should be sitting here and praising any manager of any club solely on their passion and heart and desire. That's not what it's about, Everybody, I'd be if somebody gave me a Formula One car, I'd be absolutely passionate about driving it. I'd be useless. I wouldn't even get it started, but I'd be passionate about it. That's not the point. It's like you've got to have the ability. You've got to put it to practice. So, and that's not happening.
Is he the sort of manager that if he got a better offer, and by better offer I mean more money from a different club, would he go?
I would say 10 years ago, yes, but currently I don't know how much time he's got in management left. Like with Kelly Bob's comment, managers don't tend to go past the mid-60s unless they are like a special breed, like Neil Warnock or Roy Hodgson types. So maybe that is something with it. Maybe if a better offer came along now, he'd turn it down because there's no guarantee of anything. But like we saw 10 years ago, Leeds came knocking and he was straight out the door.
Yeah, well, when Stevens came in, I spoke to the Stevenage podcast, and they said as the rumour was happening, I asked them, what have you heard a rumour of Steve Evans coming in? And then they replied saying, no, I don't think he'll leave us because he's told us on our podcast that he thinks he'll retire after the Stevenage job.
Yeah.
So
Again, more pressure on his back. One last hurrah, and he's trying to do it at Rotherham.
you believe in him, Danny. You're falling into the trap. You're falling into
No,
the trap.
no. I'm not believing in him. It's in the sense of he's created unnecessary pressure for himself, and it just adds into the fact why it's not working, because he's put so much pressure up. It's almost a brick wall that he can't climb over, and that's why the football club has to suffer for it, because he's too stubborn to learn and change anything.
I also think you underestimated the strength of feeling for the fans as well, because when you are successful first time round, fans expect success straight away. You don't on your second time round. You don't get that. You don't get that grace period, because people forget the grace period. And as we've been over a million times, the first time around it wasn't this bad. Top Catley says, "Yeah, he'd be off soft Celtic." He's already said he'd go Celtic, which is understandable. Even he wouldn't. Can you imagine a scenario where Celtic will go, "Oh, we've got Man City in Champions League. You know what we need? Steve Evans." So, anyway,
Celtic would have to go the same way that Rangers went, where they'd have to restart
correct.
in Division 4 to get Steve Evans in.
100% correct. Just a couple of words, Answer. Let's finish on this. So Steve Evans is here. We need to get behind the club. You cannot get behind. You can do what you want. Get behind the players is my call. Would be my shout. You can do what you want in terms of manager, I suppose, but the players are on the pitch. They need our support. But Mick, I'll start with you. What scenario would need to happen, do you think? We don't want this to happen because we want Steve Evans to be successful. But what scenario, what set of circumstances would need to happen for there to be a change in manager, in your opinion?
I think the calendar to tip over to about 10th or 12th of May 2025, I think.
Okay.
That's the scenario. That's my view.
What would I assume? Where would we be though? Where would we be in the league for that?
Well, once we get to that point, that's the point at which maybe there might be some consideration about getting rid of him if we're relegated or we've struggled or we've continued in this same vein all season. I cannot see for 1 minute, not for a minute, I can't see Tony Stewart getting rid of him. But even if it continues in this vein, if we finish in the position we're in now, I don't know, we're still 17th, 18th, whatever it is.
15th, I think.
15th. Yeah, even if we finish in this position, they'd consider that a reasonable season of consolidation and a rebuilding season. They'll be able to rebrand it however they want to brand it. But I can't see him going this season. I think he'll still be a manager in come the close season.
Fair enough. Tom, are you the same, or can you see a slightly different set of circumstances?
I think unless we're relegated by March, April time, I can see him staying to the end of the season. And then I think it's a choice of how close were we to the playoffs, how toxic was the fan base, were we relegated, etc., etc. And then you get to the point of, I'd say it has to go. But I think other than that, I think he's probably got as much rope as he wants, and he can keep tugging and keep tugging. Because whatever they said the other day, whatever these conversations were, I don't believe what Evans says, by the way. I think Evans dressed it up. Yeah, I think Evans dressed it up a lot better than it probably was. I don't think Stuart said I'm side by side with you. I don't think he's ever said that to anyone in his life. I think it's a case of he will get what he wants until he doesn't anymore. And I know that's like very vague, but I think he'll get what he wants. If he wants more time, he'll spin a stupid story to Stuart about how he will make it better, and then he will get extra time, and then this, that, and the other. He'll get as much time as he wants, and then I think he'll readdress it in the summer, and he'll probably decide that his ego is too big to keep getting beat and have all the fans hate him, etc., and probably leave on his own accord. Is what I personally think will happen. I think 25-26 Evans won't be a season.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Nick in the comments says, today's advertiser says, the chairman says he wants the upturn performances first and foremost. He talks about performances because he's a wholehearted believer in performances right, results right, which is at the complete opposite end of the spectrum than what Cameron Dawson said is Steve Evans' philosophy. where it's results. If the opponents are crap, we don't care because if we're getting results. So it's good to see that we're all on the same path and page. Good stuff, guys. Danny, go on, mate. What do you reckon?
Well, I think just feeding off what Nick's quoted from the advertiser there, I think if we don't win our next 5 games, that's where his position starts to become untenable. Whether or not the chairman actually has the balls to make that decision is a different matter. And I don't think he does. I think Evans has got the chairman wrapped around his little finger, like you said to me, Matt, in our group chat earlier today. He's completely in awe of Evans and wanting to do well. But I think over the next 5 games, if we don't see an uplifting performances, the fans will probably make their feelings even more known than they did at the Barnsley game, to the point where we'll just stop going. And I know it still counts season tickets as being there, even if you don't scan them in. But, you know, it won't be a good look on replays or Sky or whatever if the grounds are full because the performances are so bad. And I think if we don't win someone comfortably in the next 5 games, that will be starting to be the case. So it just depends on how much the chairman is willing to listen to his wallet rather than Evans. And I think by the January transfer window, if the attendances have started dropping vastly as well, Evans will probably go before the window when he gets a new manager in.
Fair enough. All I would say is that in terms of looking forward, if we were to sack Steve Evans now, in terms of where we look as a prospect for a manager coming in, right now, so let's say we finish 15th in this league and we're in the same situation in October next year, still around 15th, you're going to attract a whole significantly lower caliber of manager then than you would be able to attract this season when we have some good players and we're only a few points off the playoff places. That should it be in the idea of the board? I don't know. But that is certainly something to consider, that we are recently relegated from the Championship. In 12 months' time, you're not recently relegated from the Championship anymore. You're a different caliber of football club. You're going to attract a different caliber of manager. That will be my thinking. But what are you going to do? We don't make the decisions, which is probably a good thing, to be honest with you, actually, now that I think about it. But big news. Harry says, no Ainsworth. We can't get Gareth Ainsworth. We could technically, but we're not going to get Gareth Ainsworth because he has a job. The bad news is we've still got to play Shrewsbury at home.
Yeah.
I don't know when
that's what to avoid.
8th of February, we have them at home.
Oh, it's weird. I'm ill that day.
What a coincidence.
I know. What are the chances?
Is Stephen's classed as a higher caliber of manager? What level are you looking at?
Yeah.
I think the issue we've got, speaking personally as a podcast and as fans and the fans as well, you know, we're all almost. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of week in, week out, day in, day out. When I talk to other fans, the subject matter is the same. You know, there's a few of us at work, and you know, you're making a cup of tea, and the subject matter is the same thing all the time, and it isn't football.
No.
You know, it's not the games, or rarely the games, and if it is, it's just negative. And I know I'm hardly the cheeriest bloke on here. I accept that, and I know my place, but it's leaving me just so fed up of it. And I, as Steve said earlier on, you know, we've got to a stage where I don't really want to go anymore. We'll continue to go, but it's just it's dragging us all down, isn't it? It's dragging us all down.
It is.
Yeah. He also, he needs to stop blaming the last 2 years as well, which he keeps doing. He's done that again in this week. He's done it again this week. He needs to stop talking about the last 2 years. It's getting frustrating now.
God, that was the angriest I think I've ever seen you, Matt.
I'm just fed up. Yeah, it is. I'm just fed up. We've lived through it. He hasn't lived through it. We've lived through it. We know about it. We don't need reminding every 5 minutes.
No, I agree.
Just get on with it. Anything else?
No.
Brilliant.
No, man.
Make sure if you have any questions to send them in to us for Sunday's mailbag episode. I'm sure it'll be as daft as this one. Hopefully, anyway, because we need something to cheer us up. So give some daft questions so we can have a laugh and be a bit up and have hopefully a bit more fun than we have been recently. Make sure you have subscribed if you haven't done so already. Make sure on YouTube if you can subscribe, that'd be lovely. We'll be back Sunday evening, I'll say, for the mailbag episode. If you're on iTunes and Spotify, make sure you've given us a 5-star rating and follow and subscribe wherever it allows you to do so as well. It's subscribe or follow or whatever it is on Spotify as well. Right. It's been fun. I enjoyed tonight. I always enjoy these fan shows because there tends to be a bit more freedom to what we can talk about. Steve and Simon were brilliant. If you aren't doing anything Sunday, you can go down to Roundwood to watch the women's team just before England play. I think the women's team play, I think England play later on that evening as well. So you'll watch some interesting, some good stuff at Roundwood and then something to bore you just some sleep on Sunday afternoon. Nick, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
You're very welcome.
And Tom as well. Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
And Danny as well. Thank you very much, mate.
Always a pleasure. It's been a good laugh tonight.
Absolutely has. Thank you all for being with us. We will see you all next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again. Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in